If you only talk about everything you do right, it's a turnoff. My entire success story in business is purely about volume. The more topics you can go deeper on, the more audience you're gonna find. You cannot just put 100 videos and you're hoping you're gonna be an overnight sensation. It's not gonna happen.
Patrick Bet David,
founder and CEO of PHP, one of the top insurance firms in America.
Entrepreneur, author,
and the creator of Valuetainment on YouTube. Everybody knows him.
Patrick Bet David.
Patrick Bet David.
Patrick Bet David.
You are so exceptionally unafraid of standing up for your values, but you said you still read the comments. Why?
I love trolls. They would say certain things. I'm like, dude, that's funny as hell. If you don't talk about what you believe in, what your views are, who you are as an individual, the world is going to control who you are because they'll tell everybody who you are. But if you constantly try to recreate yourself while still staying true to your values and principles, new audience will constantly show up.
You gotta just press record.
What's up, Sean Cannell here from Think Media, and in this video, we're gonna be covering Patrick Bet David's top 25 rules of viral content creation. Now, today's video is brought to you by Grow With Video Summit. If you wanna learn from Gary Vaynerchuk, Dave Ramsey, Patrick Bet David, Cody Sanchez, and more, we are hosting a virtual event and it's coming up soon. So you can go to summit.thinkmedia.com or just click the link in the description. But I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. Now, let's jump into the tips with Patrick Bet David. Why are you betting so big on content?
Everything is content today. Everything's messaging today. Speed is faster today. Controlling the narrative is faster today. You know, you're seeing the difference between Bezos and Musk. Bezos at one point was worth more. But people don't know Bezos. They don't even like Bezos. Why don't they like Bezos? Why don't people like him? Because no one knows nothing about the guy. Why do people like Elon Musk? Why do people like this guy? He's louder than Bezos. Shouldn't they not like Elon Musk? Well, then Elon Musk trained Bezos to realize, hey, Bezos, you got to get a little bit more vocal. You got to start paying attention to your brand. So what does Bezos do? Bezos starts showing what he's doing, traveling, having fun. He posts a picture with his muscles saying, hey, come on, Leo, say something to my girl in a joking way. Then he calls out Joe Biden because Elon Musk is so vocal about what he's saying. Now people are saying, hey, his engagement's gone up. People are liking Bezos. There's a little bit of, this guy's got guts. He's got audacity. So everyone's starting to realize, you know, in today's era, whether you like it or not, we're all naked. There used to be a time we could all just hide and be quiet. It's not an effective strategy today because today, when somebody doesn't say anything about anything, we see them as disingenuous. When somebody doesn't have an opinion about things, we see them as they're hiding something. Versus, here's how I feel about this. Here's how I feel about that. Here's how I feel about this. People are trusting brands more who's a leader at the top, has a position, not necessarily a, you know, black and white position, but we know you a little bit versus we know nothing about you because we don't know whether we should trust you or not. So it's a different world today of creating content. So that's why we're doing it. Why create content? One of these is probably going to describe you. Let's go through it. First thing is influence. You want more influence. You want influence amongst your family, amongst your community, amongst your people you do business with, your peers. It doesn't matter. You're looking to have more influence. Number two, SEO purposes. Let me explain what I mean by this. Before I started creating content on Valuetainment, I used to just create content on our company's website to give it better SEO because an article would be shared. Then they would go on the company's website and they would say, oh my gosh, this is an interesting company. What do you do? Then I'd get a lead and somebody would contact me about wanting to do business with them. That's another reason to create content. Or it's personal. You have a website, you create content, it gets shared. People say, wow, who is this guy? Who is this gal? I want to get to know more. Then they go to the About You section. They read up on you. Then they follow you on Twitter, follow you on Instagram, see the pictures you post. They send you a message and say, when can we get on a call together? That happens all the time. Number three, targeting keywords. You have certain set of keywords that have to do with your business on a daily basis. Real estate, finance, pharmaceutical, doctor, soccer mom, parenting, whatever it is that's the keywords you're specifically looking for, you want to target that. Number four, positioning. You want to be seen as an expert in your industry. So they see the content by you, this guy may be an expert. You want to have influence, you want to have a voice, you want to have credibility. Your purpose to create content may be purely positioning within your own industry. Five, fame. Maybe you want to be famous. Maybe for you it's like, look, honestly, I'll just be honest with you. I want to walk in the streets and I want people to know who I am. Cool, at least you're being honest about it. You want fame, that's another reason. Number six, money. You kind of want to create content, have some influence where all of a sudden you're getting sponsorships. You know, we got a call from Amazon. Amazon wants to do a sponsorship with Valuetainment. We may or may not be interested in the sponsorship, but they contacted us. This happens all the time. This may be a route that you want to go yourself. Next one. 7, selfish, fun, prank. For you, it's like, I just want to have fun. That's why I want to create content. I want you to see the fun side of me. This is who I am, and I don't care whether you like it or not. This is kind of what I want to do. I like creating content. I'm having fun creating content. Honestly, it's brought me and my sister closer. It's brought me and my husband closer. It's brought me and my friends closer. I kind of like what I'm doing. And whether you like it or not, I really don't care. This is really who I am. I'm 17 years old. I want to draw this, and this is what we talk about. No problem. That's another one. Next one. Could be legacy. You're documenting your content because one day you wish your parents recorded you when you were 4 years old, and there's no content of you when you were 4 years old, and you're creating content. So one day, when you're not around, your kids, your grandkids can sit there and say, that's the grandpa, that's my grandma. What was she thinking about at this time? What was he thinking about at this time? How old was grandpa in here? How old was grandma in here when she wrote this? I wonder, let me see. Wow, she was 32 years old. What was she going through? Was mom born yet? By the way, we're not even experiencing that yet. We're not going to experience this for another 20, 30, 40 years until people start dying off and we're reading the content. That is so still early on that part of legacy and documenting. Next, it could be impact. You want to make an impact around the world. Next one is therapy. Let me explain what I mean by therapy. There are people that after creating content and they say, I'm a veteran. I was in the military. I got out. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you everything was good. I was going through PTSD because I went to Afghanistan and I saw people dying. My friend died in my arms. This was very difficult for me. I started drinking, and I'm just sharing with you my pain, and this is therapeutic to me. And then all of a sudden, 80 other veterans say, I feel you. Me too. Then there's a community, and that works for that community. That could be the case for you. Next one could be internal. Let me explain to you what I mean by internal. We use this a lot. Internal could be you're creating content. You had a family reunion, okay? You put the video together, you create a channel for the Johnson reunion. And that channel creates content that's only for the Johnson family, and all the videos are unlisted. It's only for the family to watch. And you share with the family. Or you're running a business, you're running an office, and you have people that are of other offices, and you're trying to get a message to your technology, your engineers, and you say, hey, this is what's on my mind right now, here's what I'd like to see everybody do in the company. And this goes to your 10, independent folks that are working for you, your freelancers that's working for you. That's a complete different reason to create content that helps you increase the value of your company, your family, your relationship, your friends. You're doing a fantasy football, so you have an internal channel for your 20 friends that are doing fantasy football. You create content. John, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to do this. That's still creating content.
What are some of your thinking for content creators? And maybe first for the upstart, because we're at a different scale. You're at a whole different scale. And some people are trying to figure out a side hustle. Speak to them, and then we'll talk about media companies at scale.
Got it. So somebody that's getting started, look at everybody on the marketplace and give everybody a score. Here's what I mean by it. So in baseball, they say, this guy's a 5-tool player. He's fast, he's a good hitter, he's a good defender, So he's a 5-tool player, right? In content creation, there's the concept of 5-tool. Except maybe it's not 5-tool, it's 3-tool, it's 4-tool, but there's different tools. So for example, in podcasting, there are guys that only ask the questions that ChatGPT pops out. What they don't realize is a great interviewer asks the follow-up question. So not the first question, but the second one. How did you feel about that? What do you think about this? What about if this happens? What about if that happens? ChatGPT doesn't tell you the reaction questions, right? But some people are very good interviewers. Number 2, some people are entertaining. They're funny, they're comedian, or they got this temper, or they got an animated way of explaining whatever they're. So the personality is, you're just attracted by these guys. Like, wow, that guy's a very interesting guy. I want to know more about the guy. Then the third factor of somebody that's doing interviews is good questions, entertaining. The next one is you're sexy, you're attractive, you got muscles, you got nice body, you got all this stuff. So if you got it, use it, right? Good looking people on camera, it helps you as well. There's a lot of people that got millions of followers because they're attractive, but nobody cares about the content. You're just hot as hell, right? So then the last one is somebody that is also very, very good with their opinions. So I want to know, what does this guy think? Oh, interesting, very interesting angle. So for example, Joe Rogan, you watch him, he's entertaining, he's funny, you like his personality, he can talk content on different levels, So you follow the guy, like, I actually really want to hear what this guy has to say. So your opinion could be sports, like all of a sudden Pat McAfee is doing sports and talking about what's going on, and Aaron Rodgers is on his podcast every week, and the next thing you know, Spotify picks him up, and then boom, ESPN picks him up, and he's getting paid all this money. What happened all of a sudden? The guy had a personality, he was different, he was fired up, he's got big personality, he's asking the tough questions, he's got strong opinions, criticism of the league, he's got all of that stuff. He's like a 5-tool content creator, right? So you have to look at, as a starter, what angle you're going to take that's different than others.
Your next question is going to be, okay, now what do I do? Now let's talk about the types of content for you to create. Here it is. Trending news. What happened today? Trump, business, sports, trending, something that just took place today. 2, business, money, politics, education, philosophy, entertain, comedy, humor, technology, product review. Let me do a review on this new product. There are people that do product reviews that are doing Lego reviews. You know how I know that? My kids watch those reviews on toys and they put them together, right? There's so many different things with product review. Vlog, family, how to. Those are some of the types of content that you can create.
The biggest virtual event for content creators is happening May 23rd through the 25th with Gary Vaynerchuk, Dave Ramsey, Patrick Bet-David, Ali Abdal, Cody Sanchez, Shalene Johnson, Pat Flynn, and so much more. This is your chance to get access to top video experts, to network in our exclusive app and connect with creators and entrepreneurs around the world that are using video, and to leave this 3-day virtual event with a step-by-step plan for how to grow your personal brand, your business, and ultimately monetize your content in new and multiple ways, all happening at Grow With Video Summit. You could go to growwithvideolive.com or just hit the link in the description to secure your ticket before prices go up. When you look at media right now, what are your most important platforms in order for you strategically?
For me, strategically, obviously it's YouTube at the top for me.
Why?
Because I'm long form, because I'm, I do my clips in a way where I have multiple channels I'm building it on. So we got Valuetainment short clips, we got PBD podcast, we got VT Money, we got Valuetainment Russian, we got Jedediah Bila. So that's where, and Valuetainment comedy. So that's where our main driver is. Instagram is playing a very big role right now. Instagram is like Vinny downstairs. He just put up a clip on Instagram, funny clip, just being silly in the office. It's an 11-second clip. It's got 6.9 million views on Instagram. Okay, great.
That's number 2 for you?
Right, Instagram. I would say Instagram would be there. Facebook is probably 3. TikTok is good for a lot of people. We were growing very rapidly on TikTok, and every other video would be 100,000 views, 200,000 views. The last time we had 100,000 views was 350 videos ago, so we don't know what's going on there. And we even bumped up the quality of clips. So the same clips we put on TikTok gets 2,000 views, but we'll put it on Instagram and it gets 2 million views, 8 million views, 6 million views. So TikTok, to us, it's a little bit tricky. I don't want to get into what that could be. Some of the content I talk about is not politically correct. I call out, I challenge. So some places it may or may not perform very well, but I would put those would be the list.
If you got money, do you go big first or do you still kind of bootstrap?
No, there's a lot of guys that want to spend $250,000 a month buying subscribers. You know who they are. I know who they are. How are they doing today? Gone. You know why? Because those subscribers bought you because you were spending money, but you're no longer interesting. You were just in their faces. So if you are able to get subscribers without doing any ads, and they show up because your content is that great where people are sharing it, now you have real fans that are staying with you. Don't get me wrong. Like for us, we spend money on ads, we're only doing ads because it's Bald Conference or BPW, or we have SLS coming up, or we're doing an ad for our app that we just launched, Minnect, M-I-N-N-E-C-T, Minnect. You can ask me any questions, DM me a text or video, or have a 50-minute call with me, and you pay for it by the minute. We'll do ads on that, but we don't do ads on YouTube channels. Okay, we don't do ads on that. We may do in the future, but we haven't done it right now because first go on the right, see if you're interesting, see if people like you, see if you're doing good. Then you're like, okay, so some guys are, well, I got 200,000 subscribers, and I'll go and say, yeah, but I look at your last 30 videos, 293 views, 998 views. Dude, And then I go all the way to the back. Oh, he has that one video at 48 million views. Oh, it was an ad to a funnel. I got you. That's not real 250,000 subs. It's a different 250,000 subs. So if you're solving for a funnel to sell a product, great. But if you're doing it because you want to be an influencer, you have to go through the grind.
Who's your audience? Niche, industry. It's only real estate. It's financial. It's sports. It's such and such. It's a niche, right? Who you're going to. Age. I'm looking for 16-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 40-year-olds married with kids, 55-year-olds getting closer to retirement, whatever it is. Age. Demographic. Certain demographic you're looking for. Women, men, single, married, divorced, widowed, a wife of a veteran who's serving in a military and she's by herself for 18 months while he's on, whatever it is, it's a specific targeted demographic that you want to touch. Next, views. Maybe they share the same views as you. Politically, spiritually, philosophically, that's the interest that they may have is similar to yours. I'm watching NBA. Stephen A. Smith says something. I respond to Stephen A. Stephen A. Smith is wrong. He has no clue what he's talking about. Maybe it's hip hop. Maybe it's a music world or certain area that you're talking to that's interest. Area, country, I'm mainly targeting London, UK. But for me, it's San Francisco. I'm out of the Houston area, so H-Town, right? I'm going to go to specific areas that you're going for, right? And last but not least, language. You're doing these videos on Spanish. Right now, there's a channel called Valuetainment Russia. It's videos that is specifically for Russia. They take our videos on what I'm doing, and a translator translates the whole thing. If you were to go watch my interview with Michael Francisi on the channel in Russian, it's an hour and 7 minutes, all in Russian, going back and forth. But it's a language, and they decided to focus on Russia. I think the Valuetainment Russia channel has like 40,000 subscribers as of today. So what is that language you want to focus on? So type, audience, platform. If you can be yourself and create content, so you're not acting, I think you're winning. But if you have to play somebody else to get eyeballs where you're acting, and that's what gets the eyeballs, where the you won't get the real eyeballs, I think that's a conflict. That's a little bit of a conflict. So everything to me is what happens. For example, let's just say I'm telling you, you got to live by these 10 rules. These are the 10 values and principles, Sean. You got to live by this. And I'm your dad and I'm telling you this. And I don't live by that. Deep down inside, I have conflicts. And I have internal conflict, which is a worse kind of conflict. Forget about the conflict I have with you. I have internal conflict. Because when there's internal conflict, everybody around you feels it, right? Because you're not living an aligned life. When I was creating content and I'm trying to be something I'm like, not only am I not enjoying it, but it's not also doing good. So I don't care to be that. Listen, I can't help myself. I love talking about politics. I'm going to keep doing that. I love capitalism. I'm going to keep doing that. I love entrepreneurship. I'm going to talk about that. I love, interviewing people who are in certain industries that I have interest over. I'm going to keep pursuing that topic. And then if there's an audience for it, fantastic. If there's not, it's all good. But trying to compromise who you are on the big screen to get eyeballs versus, my biggest suggestion would be try to match these two together. And then listen, it doesn't mean you don't get creative. You want to get creative, we'll have a board here, we'll sit down and I had a meeting with a couple of my content creators on talent, and I'm sitting there talking to one of them, I'm saying, listen, why are you still talking about this? Well, because it's what I stand for. There's no way I cannot talk about this. I said, listen, that's 9 months ago. People have moved on. It's over. What other interests do you have? So I sat and had a 2-hour meeting with one of my content creators, and I said, what bothers you? We wrote it down, 20 things. What do you love? We wrote it down. What do you hate? We wrote it down. When you were a kid, what interests did you have? What do you know a lot about that I don't know? Do you know a lot about the Yankees? Do you know a lot about the history of animals? Do you like lions? Did you grow up tell me what do you know about Middle East? Did you study theology? Do you know a lot about politics? Do you know a lot about the law? What do you know a lot about? Yesterday, I'm sitting with my son, my 10-year-old son tells me, he says, Daddy, do you know that there's certain sea bass that you eat that has a poison that if you eat the sea bass, hot becomes cold and cold becomes hot, that you can't even have ice in your drinks because your mouth will feel like you're on fire. I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, no, I'm telling you. Like, this guy's trying to pull a prank. So I go and I research. I'm like, this kid is right. There's a poison what did you learn about this? I read it in a book. So my son loves reading the 5,000 fact books, right? So if he wanted to create content, he can create a fact thing. He can do different things. So, You know, if you can figure out a way to improve yourself as a content creator where, talking to another guy yesterday who's got 950,000 subs, and he's been around that number for about 6 months. You know how frustrating it is to be at 950?
Sure.
Very annoying because you're kind of like, dude, I'm right there at 1 million, but I'm like, I'm annoyed, right? And he's reached the limit of his content. He's reached where his audience, they don't have interest on the same things he talked about for the last 2 years because his content is limited based on life experiences, and he no longer has any life experiences to share that's new. They've heard all of it in 200 episodes. So now what does he do? He has to figure out a way, because the audience is like, we got everything from you already. Now you're trying to give us something new. If he doesn't adjust, he's going to be a YouTube channel that got 1 million subs based on the videos he did, not any more interest on anything new. It's a very emotional place to be when you're there, because you're no longer getting that attention. So it is an emotional job. It is tough. It is draining. Your insecurity is going to come out. You're going to be going on streaks where you feel like nobody cares anymore. You're forgotten about. But if you constantly try to recreate yourself while still staying true to your values and principles, new audience will constantly show up. More content doesn't necessarily equal more influence. Some people just want to put so much content out there. We were coming up and we were studying other channels, and I thought this was the philosophy. And one of the channels had 4,000 videos on their YouTube channel in the business world. One of the biggest names, and it's a content creator, it's a brand. It's not even an individual, it's a company. And I had been creating content since YouTube first got started. I said, why do they only have 200,000-300,000 subscribers? They got 4,000 videos. Then I went and watched the videos, and I looked at it. 228 views, 193 views, 673 views, 498 views. Their last 50 videos. One of the videos had 10,000 views. And then I went to the beginning and I saw they had 3 videos that had a couple million views. So those few videos that got a couple million views that they posted 5 years ago is the reason why they have this many subscribers, not because of what they're doing today. So this whole strategy of let me just throw stuff up on the wall, you can't be doing that. Look, every single time we take more time to create content, it always shows on the numbers and the results. Every single time. If we take more time to create content, it always shows on the results. Every single time. Just look at the different personalities on YouTube who get interviewed by different people and look at the viewership and the commentary below. Read the comments below and you'll be able to say, this person interviews deeper. This person, same subject, rules for money. This person, same subject, mistakes I made as an entrepreneur. This person, same subject, but their views are higher. Why is it? Deeper, what's going on here that's different? Or is it just, let me share with you how to go become a millionaire, because guess what? The word millionaire does very well when I put it on a title. You got to get deeper with the content you're creating. Sometimes when I read a book on a flight, I'm playing backgammon while I'm listening to the flight. I love backgammon. So then I measure myself and I said, okay, close your eyes, don't play backgammon, and listen to the book. Brother, the amount of information I retain from not doing anything, nothing, not emailing, not texting, nothing, and just listening to a book, retention goes from 20% to 80%.
Wow. Not even walking on a treadmill.
No, that's okay. But
Just not thinking.
I don't want to be looking at anybody else on what they're doing to distract me anywhere. If I can do that, I'm retaining the most. Now, I got 4 kids, 11, 10, 7, and 2. I'm running 9 companies. I'm doing podcasts. I'm doing shows. I'm traveling. I'm promoting books. I'm doing this. I'm doing a bunch of different things right now, okay? So for me to be able to sit there where everything with the chaos is gone to listen 100%, I can't do it all the time. But when I do it, it's night and day. It's night and day.
And it seems like you know the value of it, almost like it's a secret.
It really is, though. It really is, though.
Yeah, but like when you're bringing things, to the forefront in 2 seconds flat, like all of that, I kept writing down, like, how many books do you read? How do you know all this?
Dude, I read a lot. I read a lot and I'm retaining a lot. And I would tell you, like, I'm super curious. I'm very curious to know what's like the formula that works for different things. Control the narrative. If you don't talk about what you believe in, what your views are, who you are as an individual, the world is going to control who you are because they'll tell everybody who you are. One of the biggest benefits that I was watching an interview the other day on when they asked LeBron about him missing free throws, because LeBron's been missing a lot of free throws, and Stephen A. Smith came and said, LeBron is a career 73% free throw shooter, right? But 50% free throw shooter last 5 minutes of the game, and when it comes down to the deciding game free throws, he's like 40%. And he says LeBron's never been a big free throw shooter. Then his partner comes out and says, in today's social media world, you can't hide. You could in the 80s, you can't today. So when they asked LeBron, what do you think about your free throw shooting? He says, it's horrible. I got to get back and practice. I have to get back and get at these free throws because I'm not good at it today. 30 years ago, he could get away with that. Today, he has to explain it because we're living in a world that if you don't control the narrative and talk about the things you're dealing with, somebody else is going to control the narrative and talk about what you're dealing with. So you got to share your views on what you're thinking. Years ago, I heard a message from Dudley Rutherford, a mentor of mine. This is 15 years ago. And he talked about the 7 mountains of influence to climb. And he explained which one was the toughest one. And he went through it. He said, pick one of these mountains to go to the top to make positive impact. But I'm going to tell you which one's going to be the toughest. I said, what are the 7? He shows it to us. One is art, entertainment, and sports. To some of you, you want to create content because you know a lot about, how many guys know a lot about sports? How many guys know a lot about sports and you actually have good opinions about sports? Yes or no? Okay, that's one way to create content. How many guys know a lot about art? How many guys know a lot about NFT? How many guys know a lot about baseball cards? How many guys know a lot about collectibles? How many guys know a lot about collectible cars? Anybody knows about things like that? That is a form of art, right? The other one is business, to make it to the top, okay, where you have influence. The next one is education. The next one is family. Then it's government. Then it's media. Then it's religion, faith. Pick and choose, no matter who you are in this room, make your impact in one of these 7 pillars. The one he said that's the toughest one to do is media. So I'm sitting there listening to him give this message. I said, you know what? I was, I don't know what year this was, 2007. I went to my pastor because I was like trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do in my life. And I go up to him and said, hey, you know, I'm trying to really figure out what to do in my life. I'm making a lot of money. I met the girl I'm about to marry, and things are going really good for me. I said, do you think maybe I'm supposed to be a pastor? He says, listen, there's a lot of things you may be supposed to do. Being a pastor is not one of them, so don't even do that's not for you. You go to business. Now, it's okay, good, man, I got one of them out. This is great, that's not me. So I go to the business side, right? The point is, pick one and climb up. Don't try to pick every single one of them. I chose my route, which one it was going to be for me. So how about you? What are you going to be known for? The greatest public speakers became great because they eventually found their voice. Not somebody else's voice, but their voice. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. Have you ever sat in a room where somebody is speaking and it's so awkward or uncomfortable that you truly cannot wait to leave the room? Like you are going lower in your chair and you're trying to hide and maybe putting the hat. You just don't want to be seen and you're feeling sorry for the speaker. Why is that? Here's why. It's because a person is trying to speak like somebody else and they're not that person. They're not like the other person. The best way to give you the analogy that'll make sense to you is this. Think about music. How many different music genres are there? Okay? Think about all the different music genres that we have. Now, I want you to visualize this. Take Tupac. Imagine Tupac singing country music. Can you see it? You can't see. I can't see it. Like imagine he's all I need in life is sin is me. It just doesn't make any, it sounds, I can't even do it right now. All I need in this life, it's his song. Right now, take Blake, what's his last name? Shelton. Now imagine Blake Shelton, we ask him to sing hip hop. Can you see it? Can you truly see it? Can you see Blake Shelton singing hip hop? I can't see it because that's not his voice and that's not Tupac's voice. And you need to find your voice. And when people ask me this most random question, Pat, I want to be a better public speaker. What can I do? Find your voice. Stop trying to be somebody else's voice. Find your one word that works for you and words that don't work for you. Let me explain. Get a sheet of paper. Ask people who know you very well, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, mom, dad, brother, sister, anyone that knows you very, very well. Your best friend who you hang out with knows you very well, who's not afraid of telling you the truth. And you ask them, when you think about me, what word comes to mind? What do you mean? What do I know a lot about? What am I passionate about? movies, business, money, finance, skateboarding, sports. Tell me what it is. Da, 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 da. What can I go really deep in and then see a trend? And then see if that word matches your passion as well. If the word matches your passion, you go for it. For us, the one word was entrepreneur. Very simple. We went after that word and we became who we are today on Valuetainment. You go on YouTube, you type in the word entrepreneur, you'll see Valuetainment all over the place. Why? Because we wanted that as our word. And we learned believe it or not, we have a list. Just 2 days ago, I sat with these guys and I'm saying, listen, it says, oh, look at this word here. I said, this word on titles has never served us. We have a handful of words that have never served us when we create content. The excitement, the enthusiasm from the audience, it's never worked. Why? You have to know those words. We know both words on what works and what doesn't work. It's no longer building a business brand. It's you're building a personal brand and you're building a business brand. The bigger the personal brand gets, the better your business does, if you know how to control it. The bigger your personal brand gets, the business takes advantage of it. Let me ask you a question. If tomorrow Elon Musk leaves Tesla, do you buy more Tesla stock the next day? Why not? What's Tesla worth today? Shy of $1 trillion. How many of you guys drive a Tesla here? Raise your hand if you drive a Tesla. By the way, look at the hands real quick. That's crazy. That's crazy. Why you buy? How many of you drive a Tesla because of Elon Musk? Raise your hand. Look at the hands. Look at the hands. Look at the hands. What if you did not know who Elon Musk was? Would you drive a Tesla? This just validated my point. Pay attention to your personal brand. Do not prostitute your brand. A lot of people prostitute their brand. You know, we got so many offers from people that said, we'll pay you $100,000. We want you to say this. We'll pay you $200,000. We want you to say this. And we always said no, because it just didn't make sense. We get numbers of offers of people wanting to do stuff on Valuetainment as sponsorship that we say no to because it doesn't match what we stand for. And so we stay true to the audience because the audience comes and says, if we ever do any kind of sponsorships, you'll know I support what that brand is. I'm going to say, I support this brand. Here's what I think we ought to do with this brand. And you'll say, wow, Pat's actually sponsoring somebody right now because we use that product or we believe in that product. Don't prostitute your brand. Your followers will appreciate you if you don't prostitute your brand. My entire success story in business is purely about volume. Reading books, there was a guy that had read 100 books and I was so amazed by the fact that he could just spit any quote from any book. And then all of a sudden I started reading 5 books and I can't stand reading books, 10 books, 20 books, 50 books, 100 books. Then when I got to 100 books, he stopped reading. He's more like at 120 books. And we all of a sudden started speaking the same language. Then all of a sudden I went to 200 books, 300 books, 400 books, 500 books, 600, 700, 800, 1200. Then I all of a sudden got wider and wider and wider. The brain elevates and it vibrates at a whole different level because I got wider, volume, duplicatable. You can't watch this and say you can't do that. You're a 13-year-old person watching this video out of whatever part of the world. You can replicate that and you can replicate it way earlier than me. But it takes discipline, business, volume. I got into financial services. I don't have a market. My father works at a 99-cent store. My mother's back in Iran. I'm a welfare kid. I lived in an apartment. I was homeless for 30 days before I joined the army. In my market, I don't come from a family with a last name of Ted Williams or, Kennedy or any of this stuff. So I can't go to my market and say, hey, I'm with Morgan Stanley Deanwood. Can you give me $2 million of your money? There was none of that. I went to a friend. I said, what can you save? He said, $50 a month into American funds. So what do I do with that? I can't compare with the other guy. Volume. Deeper relationships, wider. Then you get better, more relationship, more handshakes, more places you go to. Your YouTube channel or your blog is the same exact way. It's about volume, creating good content. You cannot just put 100 videos in one night and it's all regular videos and you're hoping you're going to be an overnight sensation. It's not going to happen. You're looking at a product that took from 1999 when I got out of the military of reading books, selling, failing, producing, creating content, producing value, rejection, to it then becoming what it is today. So it's not an overnight thing that you're talking about. You're going to learn from a lot of my mistakes. You're going to save yourself 10 years. But it takes effort. Create a lot of good content. Again, same message, avoid Me Too content. If you don't have a blog right now, if you don't have a YouTube channel right now, and you're producing your first video of going viral, the chances of your first video going viral is slim to none. But you start producing more, then you're wider to have one of them potentially go wider. Next, go viral. Next, point number 6. Write out topics and how many layers deep you can go on these topics. The more topics you can go deeper on, the more audience you're going to find. The less topics you can go deeper on, your audience is limited. So either you have to choose to obsess yourself over 3-4 new topics you're interested in, to go read every book on that, every paper on that, to go 7 layers deep and start talking about it, and that audience is going to show up. So it's not an easy thing to do, and there's a risk involved too, but you got to recreate yourself and figure out how many topics you can go deep on. Study your data and test. Actually look at the numbers. How many minutes do people stay on with you? When you're writing an article, how many views it got? How many people stayed on? Did they get off? You know, did they comment? Did they not comment? What's going on good on what time? What time when you posted? This time works for you. Maybe 9 o'clock isn't a good time because we're Eastern, Central, Pacific. You got to look at all that stuff with your data. When you look at the data and you say, wow, this is actually good for us to start posting it like this. And I like this. By the way, when we first started, it was about creating 1 content per month. That's what I committed to. 1 blog I wrote per month. Then I went to writing once a week. It was on a Sunday night. That's how we started. And then it was 1 video a week. For a year and a half was 1 video a week. Then 2 videos a week. And then we got specific. But we tested a lot until we got to where we're at today. Next. Catchy title versus a searchable title. Why'd I write that? Because so many times we try to come up with a catchy title, and I think a catchy title may be more effective when you have a bigger following, and I think a searchable title is more effective when you have a smaller following. Let me explain what I mean. So the title of this video was Life of an Entrepreneur in 90 Seconds. By the way, on YouTube, the video was titled Best Motivational Video in 2015, and it didn't do well. I changed it to Facebook and I titled A Life of an Entrepreneur in 90 Seconds, and it did well. So mix up your titles sometimes on different platforms. Searchable title is How to Write a Book, How to Start a Business. People search that on Google and boom, you pop up, okay? How to get married, how to do this, whatever someone's gonna search and whatever you search, you gotta think about yourself. When you get on Google, what do you search yourself? That's how you're thinking. 7 keys to success in business, keys to success in marriage, keys to success in health, keys to success in investing. People will search that. Keys to success in investing. That's a searchable title. So play with this. Smaller platform, use more searchable title. Bigger platform, use catchy titles.
In the actual mechanics of it, do you have a target of how many pieces of content you're putting out a week on all platforms or a month?
I don't know that we have a number that we hit. I'll give you the system. So each PBD podcast produces anywhere between 5 to 8 clips. Mm-hmm. The best clips of PBD podcast will be distributed on Valuetainment. The second best clips will be distributed on VTSC, Valuetainment Short Clips. Valuetainment today has 4.6 million subscribers. Valuetainment Short Clips has around 530,000 subscribers. So now this goes with all our other shows that we do as well. Then the best clips gets cut up and goes into PBD Podcast Instagram, PBD Podcast Twitter. And then some of the ones, the best one will also go on Valuetainment Instagram and TikTok. So that distributes it. Then the best clips go on Facebook, PBD Facebook, Valuetainment Facebook, and those fly as well. And we're about to announce in the next probably month or 2 months, we're signing 7 people that they're bringing their show to us. Some of these guys are very big names that you would know about, that they're bringing their show to us, because what we built a distribution machine is what we have. Once you have the distribution machine, you can go into audiences that others cannot get in. Show your mistakes and be vulnerable. My gosh, I cannot tell you how many mistakes we've made. If you only talk about everything you do right, it's a turnoff. You got to talk about a lot of the mistakes you made, because there's no way in the world anybody makes it to the top of their game or does good at anything without having made a lot of mistakes. People, believe it or not, want to know more about the things you did wrong and the things you did right. Believe it or not, people want to hear your mistakes more than the things you did right. Next.
You know, what I'm noticing is you are so exceptionally unafraid of standing up for your values that you don't care. You don't give a about what anybody else thinks. And I respect that. So good for you. But you said you still read the comments. Why?
I can't wait to read the comments. I try to read as many comments as I can, because here's how I read comments. So to me, it does nothing for me anymore, like hurting and all that. At first, listen.
Did it?
Oh, are you kidding me? You're like, oh, man, that one hurts. Oh, And you're like, oh my, and then you would stress out about it
Yeah.
like over and over and over again, you know, about certain comment that somebody made. And eventually I categorize comments in 3 different levels. Okay. So one is the trolls. I love trolls. They're funny. You know, they would say certain things. I'm like, dude, that's funny as hell. The way I pronounce certain words, or the way I talk, or the way I look, or, you know, I have a weird look. I have big nose, big ears, whatever. My look is not like a regular look. Okay. I laugh at that. And I'm having fun with you on that. You know, then there's the guys that no matter what I do, I can't do anything wrong. Okay. Super fans. I don't read a lot of those, but you have no idea how much I value them and I appreciate them. I love you. Thank you. Fantastic. Without you, no one knows what Valuetainment is or PBD Podcast is. Salute, right? And I appreciate it. Compliments, all of that. Fantastic. Then there's the other guys that are hate. They come from a place of hate, and you can tell politically, no matter what you say, they're on the other side. And then there's the best ones that actually give feedback. When you get to the feedback and they say, I've been listening to you for 3.5 years. I love what you talk about, but I noticed today you were unfair and you allowed Adam to say something about Sarah Huckabee Sanders that I just don't think that's appropriate for you to do. And I was disappointed that you didn't correct them. And guess what? That person was right. So on the next podcast, I said, hey, I just want to say this, guys. I'm not in the business of talking about how ugly somebody is or how someone looks. We're not going to be doing that. Adam, moving forward, I don't want you to say stuff like that. We're going to get better and all of us going to, okay, great, move on. Okay. But then there's some people that every time you do something, they want to say stuff that you walk on eggshells. I don't do well with people that are part of the walking on eggshells community. I don't even hear you. I filter you out. Wow. I'm not a walking on eggshells guy. So if you want me to be perfect, I will listen to you this much. If your standard is perfection, you can persuade me this much. If your standard is coming from a reasonable place to want to give feedback and consider doing this, I'm all ears. Focus and stay consistent. If you say once a month, commit to once a month and stay focused. If you say once a week, do it once a week. Can you imagine if the news was supposed to report every night at 8 o'clock, one day they say, oh, we were late today, 9:30. We're not going to do it today. We're going to go tomorrow. You know, it's okay. They can't do that because then you wouldn't take them seriously. Your audience wants to see a trend with you. The more focused you are and consistent, they know every Monday more. Like this last week, we were late on Motivation Monday by 4 hours. You know how many messages we got? If there's anything I can't stand when we do, is when we're late on an episode. Why did we go late? It was an issue that I made a decision to go late on a video that we already had prepared. It was already edited. It wasn't a mistake on our team. Myself, I woke up at 5 o'clock. I said, this video is not going live. I came back. I told the guys, we're reshooting. I shot a video early in the morning after I did my cardio, and then we put it up 4 hours later. I said, we're late, but this is the video going out. But you got to know that your audience, how many people told us, Pat, you guys are late. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? And then we went live with them. We apologize for being late with them. Content you create that's for today versus evergreen. Meaning, if I talk about stuff that's relative only for today's news, it's only for today's news. You ain't going to watch it 2 years from now. But if it's content I create that is evergreen, it's going to last a long time. What is the pro-con of both? Here's all it is. If you create a content that has to do about today, it immediately gets a lot of hits. Immediately. But it only lasts for 1 day or 2 days, okay? So it goes like this, boom, and then it's flatline, okay? That's still a benefit because people want to know your views. But if you create an evergreen content, it may go like this, but it'll last forever. 5, 10, 20 years from now, they're still going to be watching it. Think about How to Win Friends and Influence People, the book that was written many, many years ago. 80, 90 years later, people are still reading that book because it's evergreen. 1,000 years from now, people are going to want to learn how to win friends and influence people. So evergreen versus trendy today, you can pick and choose which way you want to go. Those are some of the rules when it comes down to creating content.
Now, if you're ready for more tips from Patrick Bet David, click or tap the screen to check out my full interview that we just recorded recently. Smash like if you got value on this video. Let me know your biggest takeaway in the comments below. My name is Sean Cannell, your guide to building a profitable YouTube channel, and I can't wait to connect with you in a future video.